by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
The manhunt for a gunman who killed 4 people at a Waffle House in Tennessee is underway. I'm Hannah Doba with the latest on the investigation and more on the customer turned hero.
And yesterday was Earth Day. Coming up, how MSU Earth Day efforts will linger all summer and into the fall at student dining halls.
Good morning to you. Welcome to your rather soggy, snowy, wet Monday morning. Our top story for you now. Police in Tennessee say there is no clear motive for the shooting on Sunday morning at a restaurant in Nashville. Yeah, 4 people died. 2 others have gunshot wounds. The gunman's still on the loose. Authorities believe he is armed. CBS's Hannah Doba has the latest this morning from New York.
A frantic manhunt is underway near Nashville for 29-year-old murder suspect Travis Reinking.
We're telling everybody to be very cautious. We don't want to alarm people, but certainly everybody should take precaution.
Police say Reinking was half naked when he opened fire with an AR-15 assault rifle in a Waffle House parking lot early Sunday morning.
There's certainly evidence that there's some sort of mental health issues involved.
The suspect is accused of killing 2 people outside and 2 more in the restaurant. A customer, now being hailed as a hero, wrestled away the shooter's weapon.
He started kind of wrestling for it and scuffling and fighting for it. I just took it and I tossed it over the counter.
21-year-old Debony Groves is among the victims. She was a senior at Belmont University majoring in social work. Nashville resident Joe Perez was killed in the parking lot. His mom posted a message on Facebook saying, quote, "Today is the hardest day of my life." Reinking was known to authorities. The Secret Service arrested him last year for being in a restricted area near the White House. His guns were confiscated and given to his father for safekeeping, but he has now acknowledged giving them back to his son. Hannah Doba, CBS News.
Now, U.S. Representative Jim Cooper, whose district includes Nashville, said in a statement that the shooting shows the need for tighter restrictions on widespread civilian access to military-grade assault weapons. We'll continue to update on CBS This Morning coming up at 7 o'clock.
Absolutely. Switching gears, it's not Matt's fault that it's snowing and raining.
I think we've
covered a nice little graphic earlier today.
Yeah, temperatures right now cool enough that we are seeing snow mixing with rain for parts of the area, and it really depends on where you are, where you're seeing some of the higher amounts above 5,000 feet. But most of the valley dealing with just some snow on the grassy surfaces and a fairly light dusting there. It's as you go up in elevation that you're seeing the vast majority of the area dealing with the heavier snow. That means pass level. You may have some snow for Bozeman Pass and Homestake Pass at times today. The wet tarmac there at Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport. Looks like that snow continues to mix in Butte as well. Temperatures not warming up much today. Later this week, a little different story. We'll talk about the potential for 70s in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Now 6:33 here on your Monday in Billings. Law enforcement is investigating a body discovered in the Yellowstone River. Deputies responded to Two Moon Park after multiple reports of a body seen floating in the river around 2:45 yesterday afternoon. We were told an autopsy will be performed, but the sergeant on the scene did not provide information on the victim.
Also in Livingston, wildfire erupted in the Antelope Butte area Saturday evening. According to social media posts by the Park County Sheriff's Office, firefighters, assisted by a bucket helicopter, knocked down that blaze about 6:35 in the evening. Emergency responders, ground crews, and air support from Helena all responded to the fire as winds made work difficult. Homeowners had been warned of the fire, but no structures are reported damaged. Fortunately, no injuries have been reported. The cause of that fire is unknown.
Yesterday, nationally, it was Earth Day. Montana State University marked the day by holding a garden event for kids. The Earth Day celebration was held at the Town Harvest Garden. It was hosted by MSU's Bounty of the Bridgers Food Pantry as a way to get kids involved. The kids decorated old containers with paint, glitter, and googly eyes, and then they got to either plant seeds in the containers that they made or plant the seeds in the garden. Event coordinator Aubrey Pierce hopes that showing the kids how food grows, they'll appreciate it even more.
Yeah, it's interesting working with kids and brings more to the project. Having that enthusiasm and it's just, you know, they help us get a lot more done.
Now MSU will use the produce that the kids plant for food at a student dining hall this summer and this fall. And recycling is a big part of Earth Day celebration, but as MTN's Jill Valley tells us, it takes more than good intentions to actually make a difference.
On a sunny day at the Republic Services landfill in Missoula, big trucks move around tons of trash that we toss each day. Sometimes what workers see here is frustrating when they know a lot of this could and should be recycled.
We see it every day. When we're working the landfill, we have to turn a blind eye to it because once it comes through the gate and up there on the deck, we have to handle everything as garbage.
Republic Services is using Earth Day as a reminder about recycling and doing it the right way.
There's sort of this concept that we refer to as wishful recycling, and that's what we're so excited about recycling. We want to put things into the curbside program that don't belong.
Glenda Bradshaw tells us half of what ends up here could go into curbside recycling. And where it's easier than ever to get a bin to toss those recyclables, it still takes a conscious, responsible effort to make sure you're doing what you think you're doing.
Contamination is one of the largest issues that we face, folks are well-intentioned, but if you put in a ketchup bottle or peanut butter, it can contaminate an entire load of recyclables and make it so that it can't end up being recycled and it ends up in the landfill.
Environmentally conscious Missoulians have always been concerned about glass recycling. Glass actually takes up a very small percentage of what ends up in the landfill, and it ends up pulverized into sand anyway. It's the other stuff we need to take a closer look at. Some 30% of the trash that ends up here is household-generated green waste, much of which can be recycled. It's more important than ever now that China isn't buying plastics the way it used to.
China was the largest single purchaser of residential recyclables in the world. They purchase about 90 to 95% of what's produced, particularly on the West Coast. And they have essentially stopped buying a lot of commodities, particularly high-grade plastics 3 through 7. So we can do our part by reducing contamination, and that will help find markets that can reuse these materials. But the second part of it is really going upstream and reducing our consumption. Right now, there's just simply too much 3 through 7 plastics in the world.
Clean, dry, and empty is the battle cry to successful recycling. In fact, the more, the better.
When we give tours to high schools and middle schools, the one thing I always tell them, by recycling, you're never going to put us out of a job.
In Missoula, Jill Valley, MTN News.
Shifting gears just a bit, hundreds of middle school girls from around Montana came to Montana State University on Saturday for the Expanding Your Horizons Conference. Female MSU students led junior high students through 4 hands-on activities. The activities focused on teaching the girls about science, technology, engineering, and math. The Build Your Future in Architecture activity allowed students to learn about different building designs and structures, wooden blocks, plastic connectors, and their own imagination to make one-of-a-kind creations. 7th grade student Bella Smith from Terry, Montana, says events like this open the door for kids like her to learn in a different way.
These are opportunities that a small town like ours doesn't get very often, because we usually have to participate in things separately because we don't have, our school doesn't have the budget or the time, but it's a great opportunity to have.
Very cool. By the way, the girls also got to do other activities like make jewelry and examine DNA.
Cool.
Fun stuff. Very cool. Lots of people involved in that on Saturday. It's a great deal.
Very cool.
It's awesome.
I like that.
Yeah.
It is time for a quick break, but we want you to stick around because we have a string of different stories to share with you as we go under the big sky next.
But first, we head to New York, check in with Gail King for a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, the manhunt for the Waffle House shooting suspect expands. We'll hear from the hero who wrestled the gun away. And we'll look at the symptoms to watch out for as the E. coli outbreak tied to romaine lettuce grows. The warning signs even the doctors can miss. We'll see you 7 o'clock straight up.